Torture Chamber of Screams, the simplified version. The first boss you're going to encounter is going to be the Torture Chamber Warden. Very easy boss, but one thing I want to note is that try not to start the boss as soon as you get in there because the gates will close. So what you want to do is wait for everyone to be inside of this room before you start the boss, or else you're going to lock people out. I've seen it happen numerous amount of times. As I said before, the boss is really easy. All you have to do is get him down, and that's that. However, there's one special caveat to this boss. When he dies, he'll drop an axe. You need this axe to move on to the next section of the dungeon. Once you get this axe, just walk it down. When you have this axe, you actually have a set of abilities right here that you can use to your disposal, but be careful, you can die as this guy. If you die, run back up, grab the axe again. I found the best thing to do is just stand behind walls. If you stand behind a wall and use this ability right here, the one where he spins in a circle, you can actually clip the people on the opposite side of the wall while always staying safe. Once you enter the bottom of the chamber, you're going to end up with 4 cells that seemingly have nothing in them. When you're morphed as the warden, what you want to do is you want to use this ability right here. Now, obviously, if you're on a keyboard, it's going to look different, but you're going to want to use the ability where he raises the axe in the air. Once he raises it up, you're going to be able to see inside the cell. You're going to notice there's a whole bunch of red markings inside each cell. This is important. You're going to have players interact with each cell in the correct order. To find the code, you want to go to the room just before that chamber area, and you're going to see markings on the wall. The best way to associate these markings are going to be, this is a plus sign, this is a P, this right here is going to be an M, just because it kind of looks like one. And this one over here, and I apologize, but it's going to be an R. It basically looks like the P with just an R like that. This makes it easier to convey to the players what you want them to press. And yes, each run, it will be different. It's randomized. Now, when doing this part, you need to be really quick, and if you mess up, it's going to say failed. The best way to do this, and this is how I personally explain to other people, is each time someone hits a button, you're going to hear like a boom noise. That means it's the next person's time to hit the button, which means it's the next person's time, and so on. If we pay attention to the code written on the wall, we know that the plus sign is first, then P, then M, then R. So based off the writing on the wall and the writing in the cells, we know the code is going to be 4, 2, 1, 3. So the first person will start and it'll go boom, 4. The next person, boom, 2. The next person is going to be boom, 1. The next one's going to be boom, 3. You'll hear it every single time you press it, and it's way better than having someone type go, go, go. It's easier to just react to that sound. The first time is going to seem really weird, but after you get it the first time, you're going to be able to go through this like clockwork and help other people clear this part. The second boss is Master Torture Technician. Very easy boss as well. The boss does one move in particular multiple times in random different orders. What he's gonna do is he's gonna light up the floor, and you do not wanna be caught in the red marks. If you're caught in the red marks, spikes are gonna come up, it's gonna do a lot of damage to you. However, don't be afraid to die. You can easily come back to this fight. You're not locked out. If you die, if you make a mistake, perfectly okay, just come back. The best way to avoid getting hit by spikes is to not stand on a square, but stand in between squares. If you stand really where these spots are, you're actually able to move in all of these directions relatively easier. So the best thing to do is pick a spot and just stand in the middle of 4 squares. That way you can move much easier. Patterns of the move explained before will be random and different. However, there's one move that you are gonna need to pay more attention to, and this is gonna be a room-wide AoE. What you're gonna wanna do is run to the green square. It doesn't matter which square you are in. However, if you can go with other people, it's a lot easier for you to break the trees. So we're gonna go through here. I'm gonna go by myself just so I can give you guys a better look at what to look at. All these spikes come up. What you wanna do is just destroy them and make your way back to the boss. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Once you're back there, you're good to go. You're not gonna get hit by anything. As I said before, if you do get hit, if you do die, it's all right. Run back to the fight. You're good to go. It's not that hard of a boss, so don't worry about making these mistakes. Now we move on to the main boss. Now this boss's mechanics are kind of everywhere, so you're gonna have to work with me, and we're gonna wrap it up all at the end, okay? It's gonna be a little funky, but don't worry, I got you. The first thing you're gonna notice is you're gonna notice that there's pins on the ground. Do not worry about the pins. Again, I will explain everything once we get there. So when the boss starts, the first move he's gonna do is do a parry attack. Once you parry his attack, you're gonna notice you end up with a stack up here. It's going to be red and it lasts for 5 minutes. Each time you parry, you get an additional stack. When you parry 3 times in a row, you're gonna get a little eyeball on your head. It looks like this. It's a closed eye. At the start when you parry, the boss is gonna give you a closed eye willy-nilly. It doesn't matter. But after this moment, you're gonna need to parry 3 times in a row. It doesn't matter if it's a circle, it doesn't matter if it's a diamond, parry whatever 3 times in a row and you'll get the same symbol once again. We'll explain what to do with that a little bit later. If you end up missing a parry, the stack will go away entirely and you're not gonna have an eye on your head anymore. As we continue the boss fight, you're gonna notice the boss does a line AoE in front of the tank. This is just something for the tank to dodge. Very simple, very easy, just sidestep. The next move that this boss does is he's gonna highlight a few players. You're gonna see a white ring form around them. After a short period of time, you're gonna see arrows rain down just like that. If you don't move out of the way before they all land, you're gonna get stunned. So whenever you see that white ring, just move out the way and you're good to go. The next move the boss is going to do is he's gonna fog up the entire map. Remember that eye that we talked about, the one that's gonna be on top of your head? This is what you need to have in order to activate the blood reservoir. So what happens when you activate this blood reservoir? The first thing getting the blood reservoir is gonna do is gonna allow you to see numbers on top of the zombies. There's gonna be zombies chasing a few players, and these numbers on top of the zombies mean you need to stand in the position away from the boss. As an example, this is zombie number 1, this is zombie number 2. Well, if zombie number 1 is chasing this guy and zombie number 2 is chasing me, that player is gonna need to stand right here in the front, closest to the boss because he's number 1. I need to stand behind him because I'm number 2. If somebody's number 3, they need to stand behind me and so on. So basically the lowest number is closest to the boss and the highest number is further away from the boss. This is exactly why we have the pins on the ground for players who may not be able to stand properly. In this same example, if he's number 1 and he stands here and I'm number 2 and someone's number 3 but they're way over here, even though we're not lined up back to back, we understand that 1 is closer, 2 is second closest, and 3 is furthest. When you think about the numbers lined up, it's not about back to back to back to back, it's more radial. It's 1, 2, 3, and so on. So this means that whether or not I'm in front of the boss, over here, back there, it doesn't matter as long as we are 1, 2, 3, that's what matters. It's not as complicated as it seems. Once you see it, you'll know. As I said before, activating this blood reservoir lets us see the zombies number, so that way we don't have to guess about which place we should stand in. I highly recommend before touching the blood reservoir, you do the dodge roll. Every time he fogs up the map, he's going to do one of those dodge roll mechanics. Do not activate the blood reservoir while this is going. You're going to get hit and you're not even going to be able to use the reservoir. So let him do that first, dodge it, and then go activate it. As you see, the eye on my head is closed, right? But when we activate the blood reservoir, the eyeball opens up and we're able to see exactly where everybody is. In this particular example, the player did fail to get the blood reservoir. And what happens if you don't do that, the zombies will attack you anyway, and the numbers will appear after you were attacked. You will not have time to move. So should this happen, you're probably gonna end up killing people because if you're not in the right order, you're going to die. You'll also know who's not in the right order by the color of the person grabbing them. If that zombie is red, you're most likely going to end up dead. One more thing to note, whoever is grabbed by the zombie will not take damage. So let's just say the person's number 1 and he's standing right here. And you see the tank right here, right? If the tank continues to be closest to the boss or DPS, whatever, you're gonna take damage. This is why you want to stand a little bit further back away from the person that's grabbed because they won't take any damage from the boss and they'll essentially tank for free. It's a lot, I know. We're going to revisit some of this, don't worry. The next move the boss has, he's going to spawn a couple of, they look like daggers to me. He's going to spawn a couple of daggers over a few players. What it's going to do is shoot out an AoE cone to the direction of the player that's marked. This means that we want to try to fan out the players as much as possible so that way we don't stack on each other and get clapped. The next move the boss has is he's going to disappear. Once he disappears, he's going to spawn a whole bunch of circles on everybody. This is going to turn into razor blades, just like that, so you want to back up. Now, usually if you're a tank or an off tank or anything that has an AoE heal or shield, you want to use it before this drops. Now, I did some testing. Stacking on each other doesn't seem to amplify the damage, but I don't do it anyway. Every single time that circle move ends, he's going to slam someone to the side, and then he's gonna dash at them. You wanna make sure that you are blocking this purple light. Remember what I said, each purple block gives you what? It gives you a stack. You need 3 stacks to get the eye on your head, so that way you can interact with the blood reservoir. Once you're done blocking, it's gonna get to the person that he pushed back, and he's gonna snip them. The more people that blocked, the less damage that person takes. Usually it's not a one shot. So then as you see right there, I have another stack, right? Now you kind of can't see it because the party matchmaking is like in the way, but we have 2 stacks. We need 3 to get that eye. So let's continue to play the game, and we want to make sure we get a 3rd one. So now we have 2 stacks. Remember what I said, every time he smokes the ground, what happens? He then does that purple move, right? So now we have 3 stacks. Now, what did I say before? When he does the purple move, he also gives you a stack, right? Now, everyone's stacks is going to vary, but basically anybody can get the stacks as long as you interact with the blood vial. As you notice, I dodge first, interact with the blood reservoir, and now we all can see the numbers over the zombies' heads. So we notice that this is zombie number 1, right? This is zombie number 2. That's zombie number 3. So based off what we said with the radio movement, right? Because this is like 1, 2, I'm sorry for the circles, guys. I apologize. I can't draw. 3, no matter where we are, we need to stand in the vicinity of 1, even if it's over here, where 2, even if way over there, 3, right? That's how we want to play. So let's see our teammates. As you see, they're not back to back to back, but you'll notice they're in that area of 1, 2, 3. Nobody got it wrong because everybody has a blue zombie on their back. And remember, keep in mind that number 1 stands closest to the boss, so that way they're able to tank the boss for everybody else should the healer possibly be locked up. They can't heal. So now that we got that down packed, let's rinse and repeat this real quick and go a little bit quicker. You got the arrows, right? Move out the way when the white light shows up. You're not gonna get stunned by those arrows. The next move that we have is the cones, right? The little daggers are gonna appear. You need to fan out so you guys don't stack. He's gonna blast in a cone. That's that. You already know the next move. He's gonna disappear, put circles around everybody, buff yourself, and then just walk out. As I said before, stacking doesn't seem to do anything, but I walk out anyway. And of course, after the circles, he's gonna reappear and he's gonna knock someone to the side. This time it's me. Remember to stand in this line to get your stacks for the eye, but this also mitigates the damage for the person that's gonna get charged at. In this case, it's me. And then of course, he's gonna teleport to the middle of the room and he's gonna fill the room with smoke. It's the same exact thing that we talked about. Because we've been dodging on time, because we've been doing everything we're supposed to do, we can interact with the blood reservoir. As you see, this then gives our team the ability to see which numbers are on the zombies. And just like we said before, it's not about being back to back to back to back. That's not why we have these marks. It's about being in a radial position. So again, this is 1, right? 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter exactly where you stand as long as the lowest number is at the boss and the highest number is more towards the wall. The highest number at the start is going to be 3, but it does stack up to 4, then it goes to 5 based off how low the boss is. So keep that in mind. Once again, we have the arrows, move out the way so that you're not stunned. Then of course, again, we have the daggers spread out so you're not stacking on top of each other when the ability comes out. He is going to disappear, spawn the circles, make sure you get close so you can get the buff. That way you're not going to take a lot of damage. After the circles, he's going to reappear, knock someone back. Remember to stand in the line. That way you can mitigate the damage as well as get your stack. Now, sometimes this can miss and you'll miss out on a stack. It happens, don't worry about it. As long as one person has a stack, it's good enough. Once again, he goes to the middle of the room, pops out that smoke. You do the exact same thing. Remember to roll dodge before interacting with it. And keep in mind, if you do get hit, you lose your stacks. You want to try to get the parry mechanic 3 times in a row. Now there's 6 players, so usually one person can do it, But if you're gonna do it yourself, you need 3. If you get hit, you'll lose your stacks and you won't be able to interact with the blood reservoir. Your screen also goes black like this. Right here we line up. Again, it does not matter. It doesn't matter who's back to back. 1 is right here, 2 is right there, 3, 4, 5. It does not matter how close you are to that person as long as you are separated. A better visual indication is this. As you see, 1, look at the ground, 2, 3, 4. You know, it's kind of like that. So if you have a hard time picturing it with the pins, or maybe the person doesn't have pins down, you can just look at the map itself and you can get an idea of what that actually means. Rinse and repeat it, and the boss is dead. Now there's one more thing I want to share with you. There's a strategy that can make this 10 times easier. However, I didn't add it in the main section of this video because I don't know if it's going to get patched out. It seems like it won't because it's still a relatively skillful thing to do, but should it be patched out, you're not going to be like at a loss of what to do. I've seen many games patch out specific strategies and players had no clue what to do because they learned the cheap way rather than the right way. I don't think it's cheesy, but I just don't know if it's intentional. When you interact with the blood reservoir, you're gonna get this buff. This buff right there lasts for 1 minute. This means you can prolong the buff even outside of the smoke as long as there's 1 reservoir left. So as you see, I'm about to go get this reservoir real quick. Even though the smoke isn't here, it's gonna allow me to bypass the need to go to the reservoir during the smoke. Keeping this buff active throughout the entire fight is going to allow us to see the zombies' number as soon as they spawn. This also means we don't have to go out of our way to try to dodge and juke, because if you're hit, it doesn't matter. That stack still stays there, and so should you get hit, you're not going to lose your stacks. You just go get another reservoir. You don't need to worry about parrying on time. You don't need to worry about getting to the vial so people can see the zombies. You simply interact with it before the smoke and after the smoke. It's best to just wait for it to tick a little bit low first, maybe about 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and then activate it. It's gonna take some practice, especially if someone drops the ball on keeping it prolonged, but this is not necessary to win the fight. Again, I just wanted to explain it to you afterward, just in case they patch it out, or just in case people are getting very toxic about doing it this way. It's not necessarily supposed to be done this way, and I'm curious to see what they plan to do afterward. As you know, I create these simplified guides so that way you can explain to people that may not speak your language, you can explain to people that may not be great at games, and you guys can all be on the same page and clear the dungeons together. Until next time, you know what I always say. Think you guys are doing what? Popping often. Well, often.